Battle of Verdun is the longest battle of the First World War. It lasted from the 21st of February to the 16th of December 1916, causing 700,000 dead, wounded or missing soldiers. In 1915, French General Chief of Staff Joseph Joffre had weakened the defenses at Verdun to reinforce the front lines for the Second Battle of Champagne. By the end of 1915, most of the 1,000 guns had been withdrawn from the fortified region of Verdun. Furthermore, there were only around 80,000 men to defend the 75-mile front, which is 2 men for every 3 meters, a force that would not be able to withstand a large German offensive. Colonel Emile Driant, who was the deputy of Nancy and who was stationed to the north of Verdun, was urging the French High Command to reinforce the defenses around Verdun. He had noticed unusual German activity that appeared to be a preparation for a large-scale assault. However, Colonel Driant was dismissed by Joffre, arguing that nothing justifies the fears you express in the name of your government, further adding that it does not suit me either to answer vague insinuations whose sources are unknown to me. General Joffre wanted to focus on the planned Anglo-French offensive at the Somme for the summer of 1916 and thought that the German attack at Verdun would only be a minor distraction. In January 1916, the imminence of a German assault was certain. The French High Command was further pressured, but nothing was done. At the end of January 1916, French intelligence became aware of an inspirational message written by Crown Prince Wilhelm. Addressing his Fifth Army stationed around Verdun, he claimed, "My friends, we have to take Verdun. It must all be over by the end of February, and the Kaiser will hold a grand review at the Place d'Armes in Verdun, and peace will be signed." At the end of January 1916, the French High Command finally started reinforcing the front lines with a regiment of engineers, keeping 2 divisions they wanted to pull out, creating a new corps out of 2 divisions, and moving in heavy artillery. The attack was initially planned for the 10th of February 1916, but had to be delayed by 10 days because of heavy snowfalls. Colonel Driant was in command of the 56th and 59th Light Infantry Battalion, totaling approximately 1,200 men, and was stationed in the Bois de Cour near Flabas to the north of Verdun. As he was expecting a large-scale German offensive, he had reinforced the first lines of defense. The Bois de Cour is a 3-kilometer long and 800-meter wide forest stretch located at the north of Verdun. This simplified map shows the positions of Colonel Driant on the 21st of February 1916. As you can see, he had already severely reinforced his positions because of the imminent German assault. In the early hours of the 21st of February 1916, the German artillery started its unprecedented barrage. The artillery fire was so intense that it was later estimated that approximately 80,000 grenades had fallen on a 500 by 1,000 meter wide stretch. The bombardment lasted 9 hours and was of such intensity that it destroyed all French defensive positions in the Bois de Cour. In the late afternoon, the Germans attacked the Bois de Cour with the equivalent of 4 infantry regiments, equipped with the devastating flamethrower. The German soldiers, who thought that anything would have been annihilated by the artillery barrage, are surprised when suddenly the remainder of Colonel Driant's men come out of their shelters and start engaging the enemy. In the evening, Colonel Driant and his men still hold the Bois de Cour. However, only 1/4 of his men survived the first day of the Battle of Verdun. On the next day, heavy fighting resumes, with another German artillery bombardment that lasts until midday, followed by an infantry attack at 1 p.m. The overwhelming German assault forces most of the French troops to withdraw from their positions. The second and third lines of defense are quickly overrun due to their weak reinforcements. From the top of his command post, Colonel Driant starts shooting with his rifle and counts all his kills just like a sniper. In the late afternoon, Colonel Driant has approximately 100 combat-ready men left. When the Germans start bombarding the lines behind Colonel Driant, he realizes that they are surrounded. Colonel Driant then starts organizing withdrawal to prevent captivity. He organizes the remainder of his men into 4 small groups. The men start running from shell hole to shell hole while being constantly targeted by a 7.7 centimeter artillery gun. The colonel is the last in line and calmly walks away with his stick. He then helps an injured French soldier to put a provisional bandage around his wound. He then resumes his withdrawal by himself when he is suddenly hit by a machine gun bullet to his head. While collapsing, he says, "Oh la la, my God." At first, his men think that he's only injured, but soon realize that the wound is fatal. Colonel Driant's men are taken prisoners by the Germans, who also bury Colonel Driant with military honors and send a letter to his wife in Switzerland. Colonel Driant was subsequently hailed as a national hero, and even today, he and his men are still commemorated on the 21st of February of each year. Historians often claim that his efforts delayed the German attack by 48 hours, and that this time was crucial for the French High Command to send in reinforcement. It is also believed that the Germans would have broken through if Colonel Driant's men would have not defended their positions with such stiffness. But how true are these assumptions really? Let's analyze. While it is clear that Driant's efforts did delay the German offensive, it remains less clear whether they would have captured Verdun if there had not been any French stiff resistance. Could the Germans have captured Verdun if the French wouldn't have resisted so stiffly? In my opinion, the Germans wouldn't have captured Verdun even if the French wouldn't have defended it for three main reasons. The first one being strategic, the second one being meteorological, and the third one being logistical. So let's start with the first one. First of all, German General Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn's plan was to bleed the French army to death at Verdun in order to sign a peace treaty between both nations. He believed that the symbolic importance of Verdun would induce the French to send in all their reserves, which would then attack strong German defensive positions and be subject to powerful artillery fire. Falkenhayn believed that the British would engage in a relief offensive on another sector of the front that would result in a costly failure. Hence, the weakening of the French army would force its government to sign a peace treaty with the Germans to end the war. Therefore, there was no intent in the first place for him to capture Verdun or even to advance towards Paris if they had broken through enemy lines. Let's go to the second one, the meteorological one. The bad weather in February forced the Germans to delay their assault by 10 days, which helped the French to reinforce their positions. The failure of the General Joffre to recognize the German threat early enough could have had devastating consequences had the Germans attacked as planned on the 11th of February. At that time, the French defensive positions were still weak. On the 27th of February, when the Germans had already captured the strategic Fort de Douaumont, heavy snowfall and mud prevented any further advance. The third reason is of logistical nature. That is, after the swift German advance during the first week of the battle, Erich von Falkenhayn failed to send in more troops, and the artillery had not caught up with the infantry yet. As a result, the French lines were out of reach for the German artillery, leaving the infantry by itself. On the other hand, the German infantry found itself within reach of the French artillery, with devastating consequences. I actually went to Verdun 2 weeks ago, where I took several pictures and videos. And yeah, I'll show them to you right now. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, please like and subscribe. And thank you for watching, guys. Bye bye.